Y'all, it's great to be with you today. Welcome. If we have not yet had the pleasure of meeting, my name's Alex Jed. I'm one of the coaches here at Entree Leadership. I also get to host the Entree Leadership podcast. If you're new to Entree Leadership, we always say that we exist to help the small business owner win. That's why we do what we do. So we're excited to be here with you today. It's good to be with all of you this morning, regardless of where you are joining from. Let's see. This is it, 2002. Welcome, otech. Welcome, Sina School Anita. Welcome. A lot of these names I can't pronounce, y'all. I wish we would just put our first name in there. That would be much easier. Hey, I'm going to ask y'all, go ahead and put in where you're calling in from, and I'd also love to know what you do. So where are you joining today's call from, and then also what do you do? Go ahead and put that in the comments. Would love to see. We've got someone, Patrick's from San Diego. That's awesome. Very cool. Excellent. Again, if you're just now joining us, my name's Alex Jed. I'm one of the coaches here at Entree Leadership. I also host the Entree Leadership podcast. We've got someone from Arkansas. Welcome. We've got someone from Houston, Texas. That's where I grew up. Very cool. Excellent. California. We've got Tampa, Florida. Special Needs Nanny Agency. Thank you for being here. We've got a small business owner from California. We've got a fireman paramedic. Hey, Captain from Miami. Thank you for your. And I don't want to waste a moment right now, because one of the things that we said we wanted to start doing during this season, as it so rapidly changes, is have live conversations with people that we know can instantly add value and also bring hope to where you are as a business owner and as a business leader. And that's certainly what we've got on the docket today. Today we get to talk with Seth Godin. Many of you know who Seth Godin is. If you're not reading Seth Godin's blog, you got to start reading Seth Godin's blog. His books are phenomenal. I'm so excited to hear how he is processing and observing everything that's going on right now, and how leaders have a unique opportunity, but also a responsibility to step up in this season. So without any further ado, I am going to go ahead and add him in. Seth, I'm adding you in right now. This is a moment where we hope that it works out all right. And Seth, I'm going to try one more time. Once. Seth Godin. This is the moment. Let's see if this works or not. Hopefully we've got this up and running. Seth, it says that there he is. It's a miracle. It's great to see you, Seth. How are you?
Good morning. And I want to begin by thanking Chuck, who was in the comments. He's a paramedic on the front lines. The people who are out there keeping us all safe and well. I have unbounded appreciation for you. So thank you for that.
That's right. Thank you, Chuck. And thanks for calling that out, Seth. Seth, I don't want us to wait just a moment. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today with regard to working from home and being resilient and what the opportunity for leaders in this season. But I'd love to start by really looking at kind of like the last 14 to 21 days, as this has all started to roll out and our world has literally changed what feels like overnight. What has been one of the biggest lessons that you've taken from this whole season up to today?
Well, we're talking with a can and a piece of string, so forgive me if some of the detail doesn't come through. There are a couple of interesting lessons. First, from my point of view as someone who thinks about how ideas spread, it's worth noting the idea that we are all living with spread faster and farther than any idea in the history of the world. By a lot, by a year, that's how much faster. So if you are feeling whipsawed, chalk it up to the fact that we are an experiment in how ideas spread. But much more important than that, what we are seeing is the crisis of a month ago or 6 weeks ago, the stuff that we thought was so urgent, suddenly it's not even on our agenda anymore. And I think that we're beginning to understand that being here for each other, understanding what it means to be in community, realizing that resilience is something that we can work on and earn. These are critical human skills. And in our race to pay off one bill or to figure out how to get one more SUV in our garage, we sometimes forget what our entire purpose is. And our purpose is to be part of a community and to make things better. And I think we're seeing now more and more that each of us has the chance to do that. You don't need to be picked. You don't need authority. If you can watch this, you already have a device in your pocket in which you see somebody else, connect to somebody else, and help them.
That's really powerful. I apologize if you broke up a little bit at the end there, but I keep hearing you use that word resilience. It seems like that is a word that is really standing out to you in this season. Why the word resilience, Seth?
Well, if you get a really fancy wine glass, and I know Dave has a really fancy wine glass in his kitchen, and you drop it, it's not a wine glass anymore. It's just a whole bunch of broken pieces of glass. Wine glasses are not resilient. Wine glasses are brittle. And they don't deal with change very well. But human beings and our culture, we have no choice. We can't insist that the world be perfect before we do our work. We can't insist for the right, actual, perfect moment before we show up, because it will never be perfect. It's never just what we needed. And so, I've been a freelancer since 1986. And when you're a freelancer, what you discover is either you've got a gig, in which case you're not looking for gigs because you're too busy, or you don't have a gig, in which case you don't have any gigs, and then you're really in big trouble. And nobody makes it as a freelancer if they're not prepared to be resilient. And what we've done is we've spoiled a lot of ourselves because we work in a steady job, in a steady office, and then suddenly the world changes and we have to work from home. Well, what we're being called upon to do is understand our purpose at work. What are we supposed to be doing? Because it's not just showing up at the office. What we're supposed to be doing is making a change happen. And if we can be resilient as we approach that, then we've got a shot to make a difference.
Okay, and you just highlighted that kind of title of freelancer. I know you have a very unique way of kind of teaching what a freelancer is compared to an entrepreneur, compared to a leader. So explain that difference real quick, Seth.
Sure. Most of the people who are listening to this either have a day job or they're freelancers. That the number of actual entrepreneurs in the world is very small. Entrepreneurs build something bigger than themselves. Entrepreneurs should not be doing the job of the company, right? It's not the job of the person to come and cook French fries for you when you order it to go. It's her job to hire somebody to do that. That's what entrepreneurs do. People who work with their own two fingers, people who show up and do their work, they're freelancers, meaning their work is what they did. And if you're independent and you're a freelancer, the only way to do better is not to work more hours, because you can't work more hours. The only way to do better is to get better clients. And better clients pay you on time, they pay you better, they challenge you to do better work, they talk about your work, they give you interesting things to do. Better clients are the secret to the whole thing. And so the Freelancers Workshop we run at thefreelancersworkshop.com is just about getting better clients. And a lot of freelancers, like me, are right now stuck because the economy is paralyzed. So, 20 speaking gigs get canceled. Okay, what should I do? Should I fret about it? Should I just curl up in a ball under my desk? This moment, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it's going to take, this is the moment to get really good at what you do. This is the moment to decide what it is you even do. So it's not, oh, what do you need? I can do that. This is me. This is my work. And I do it specifically. I'm not a generalist, I'm a specificist. And to be specific, that is something you can do with this gift of time that we all got, even if we didn't want it.
I love the question that Sarah put in here, and I think it directly relates to this. She asked, how do you explain the balance between resilience but also adaptability? So it's like, there's a certain level of stick-to-itiveness that we all need right now, but at the same time, all of our eyes are being open to the idea that we kind of have to be willing to be flexible and pivot. How do you think about that, Seth?
Right. So we pivot every day. We just don't pivot on the big things. And So to be resilient means that if there's a traffic jam on the 95 on your way to work, you can take the 93. You don't just go home, right? That every plane you've ever been on has been off course the whole way. The whole way. That all pilots do is adjust as they go. The real question is, what do you do when the entire market you work in goes away? So if you're a travel agent, what should you do? Right? This might be a good time to not be a travel agent anymore. Might be a good time to say the combination of Travelocity and Hotels.com and the ban on travel means this is a really good time for me to adapt to the world. And really, what I really do for a living is I listen to people and I help them navigate complicated situations. Because that's what travel agents do. So go do that for someone else in a different way. You haven't changed what you do in life. You've just changed the name of your job.
That perspective is so unique, but it seems like you have to have a very open mind and a very clear head to be able to look at the world as such a blank slate that it's like, okay, I'm going to change everything of how I do things. But it's almost like the time when we need that blank slate viewpoint the most, which is right now, is also the time where it's hardest to get, because it seems like when we go into crisis mode, it's like, I just got to figure out how to make a buck, right? Like, I just got to figure out how to make sure I'm eating dinner tonight. I just got to make sure I can turn on the next Netflix show sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do we cultivate our minds to be able to think creatively in the middle of crisis, Seth?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so I'm going to argue that there are two things that are voluntary. They are choices. They are hobbies. One of them is panic, and one of them is whining. And if you want to do either one of them, go ahead, but they're not going to help you solve your problem. And one way to deal with this is reserve from 4:45 to 5 p.m. every day to do both. Just do them a lot and then get them over with. But then the question is, this happened. What should I do about it, right? That in 1992, I was one of the most powerful and important creators of content for AOL, CompuServe, Microsoft's online service. I worked really hard to be able to do that. And then they invented the World Wide Web. Boom. So I could have insisted, as I tried, that that was wrong and that everyone needed to do what I wanted them to do. Or I could take a deep breath and say, well, that happened. What should I do now? And being able to say, well, that happened is a really, really good way to not panic, because panic is often our choice when we want the world to go back the way it was. And it's not going to go back the way it was.
I was telling a friend of mine that I was going to be talking to you today, and she's a business owner, and she just about lost it, first of all, because she's a huge fan of yours. But then she said one of the things that has really stood out to her from your work in this season for her, because she's stuck at home right now, is just like we all are. She said, I remember Seth saying that being bored is a great opportunity to be creative, or something along those lines of, like, when you're bored, that's breeding ground for creativity. And she was kind of asking, like, how do I make sure I leverage this boredom for what it could become, which is creativity? What are your thoughts there, Seth?
I love this. So being bored is a privilege, and being bored is a skill. And we have forgotten to teach our kids that it's okay to be bored. And Neil Gaiman taught me that the antidote to writer's block is boredom. So when he gets stuck, he just goes someplace where there's nothing else to do but write. And so the way forward is to say, I am going to sit here until I invent something, create something, contribute something, and I am not allowed to end my boredom in any other way. I cannot end my boredom by going on Instagram. I cannot end my boredom by going on Netflix. That I'm going to seek out boredom and I'm going to solve it by being a contribution.
Contribution. What does that look like in this season whenever everything has changed? How are people contributing right now already, just 14 days into this?
Well, let's not even go to the life or death stuff, because the life or death stuff is problematic because there's so many tragedies happening around us. Let's go for the trivial stuff, which so many of us are lucky enough to deal with. Who is organizing the neighborhood Zoom dinner party on your block tonight, where 4 families are all going to log in at 7 o'clock and talk with each other as they eat dinner? Who's going to organize that? What's keeping you from doing it? It's free, right? Or who's going to organize the people in your industry that are feeling dislocated right now, so that 5 CEOs or 5 heads of sales or 5 whatever who are used to being competitors come together every day for an hour online and talk? Who's going to organize significant edits to Wikipedia pages that need help, that will become better going forward? Who's going to teach the kids in town from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock how to juggle? I mean, I can give you 4,000 things you could do to be a contribution. Go do them.
That's so good. Okay, I'd like to know from people in the comments, put an emoji or something in the comments if you are someone that perceives yourself as a leader. So I want to know if you, oh, did I lose you, Seth?
Something happens to your mic.
Oh, let's try this. Can you hear me now?
Just a little. Let the commenters, is it just me?
How about now?
That's a little better.
Okay, we'll go with that. I apologize. So you still got me, Seth?
Yeah, if I listen really hard, I can hear you.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for listening really hard. Comments, if you see yourself as a leader, that's what I'm asking everyone to do. So we've got everyone doing that now. So Seth, we've got a bunch of leaders on here, which means we've got a bunch of people that are influencing others. I've got kind of a 2-part question for you. In this season, what are the unique opportunities for leaders in this season? For leaders of people, what are the unique opportunities that we should all be looking for and taking advantage of?
Leadership is voluntary. It's voluntary because we have the ability to follow you or not. And that's different than management. Management is when we tell people what to do. Leaders have to get enrollment, people to follow them. So the opportunity right now is to decide where you want to go and to invite people along. They are not going to follow you because it's good for you. They're going to follow you because it's good for them. And again, back to the life of the freelancer, right? The life of the freelancer is, how do we show up in a way that clients and others want to follow us? How do we show up in our community in a way that others want to follow us? That's hard because you might be wrong. You might be going somewhere you can't prove is right. It's hard because some people will say, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's why not everyone's doing leadership effectively, because we're hiding. And if we go back to this idea of contribution, the thought that we can contribute helps us realize it's generous to lead.
So my follow-up question, you may have just answered this. We kind of addressed that idea of contribution and choosing where you want to go and then taking people with you. What are some of the unique responsibilities that leaders hold in this time? That if you are going to be a leader in this season, this is not just an opportunity for you. This is a responsibility, and this is kind of the price of admission. Anything specific stand out, Seth?
Yeah, it's mostly a responsibility. Much of it is not for you. And the message is super simple. Make a promise and keep it. That's simple. Make a promise and keep it. Don't drive us off a bridge. Don't tell us that you figured out that this silver necklace is going to protect someone's health just because you're going to make money from it, because it's not going to help anybody. When we write the history of the next 3 months, and we're going to write that history 10 years from now, what are we going to say about you? What are we going to say you did? What are we going to say you said? What kind of promises did you make, and were you able to keep them?
Seth, I'd be interested to know, how do you answer those questions for yourself in this season? Because you are someone that I know is deeply introspective about the impact that you're making on the world right now and the contribution that you're making. So how has your contribution shifted or maybe even stayed the same with regard to the time that we're in right now?
Well, I mean, I allocate at least 20 minutes a day to beating myself up because I'm not doing as much as I'd like to do. There are a lot of opportunities to help people see what's possible to connect and to lead, and I can't take all of them, and it bothers me. The workshops we're building are more effective than anything I've ever done, so we're diving in and doing it more. I'm supporting the extraordinary people who work for me around the world, trying to make it so that they can do their work. But I think it's debilitating to think that any of us can solve this problem. We can't solve this problem. Let's not say, if I can't be perfect, I'm not even going to try. Maybe instead we say, could I contribute just a little? Because if everybody contributes just a little, it would be a whole lot more than we have right now.
That's powerful. When we entered into all this, do you ever get emotionally rattled by the things that are going on whenever something like this happens? Or is this something like you've seen valleys happen before, you've seen bumps, or you've hit obstacles before, and now this just feels like business as usual? How does it affect you, Seth?
Well, part of what people like me do when we're trying to describe a future, when we're trying to understand a system, is we look at the clues and then we jump a week or a year or 5 years into the future. So I was on the internet in 1990, and I didn't get it all right, but I had some really good guesses as to what was going to happen. And what that does is it pushes the future all into one day. So about 3 weeks ago, after I had dinner with a friend, and then I read some news from Northern Italy, that was my day, because I just saw all of this stuff unfolding, 3 weeks worth of it in one day. That was really challenging. And now I'm disappointed to say it's working out exactly the way a lot of people thought it would. And so then you say, all right, well, now we're not thinking about what the world's going to be like in 3 weeks. We're thinking about today. And today I can do something about it. Today I can lead it. Today there's somebody I can talk to.
So I was going to ask you, how do you stay positive? How do you make sure that you're constantly looking for possibility and contribution? Is that part of it, just focusing on this is what I'm doing today and this is what I can focus on today?
Well, my friend, the late Zig Ziglar, taught me that being positive or being negative isn't going to change what's happening. It's just going to change the way you feel about it. And I'd rather be optimistic and be disappointed than be pessimistic and be right. And so showing up and saying, what could I offer right in this minute? Today I can lead. That's a worthwhile thing to say. Thank you for that one, Sean.
That's right. It feels like leaders right now, or at least the small business owners that we're talking to, they're feeling the need to provide some vision for their team. And like you're saying, like they're just trying to control and focus on the moment, and they feel this pressure and this burden of, I need to provide vision of where we're going. What would be your advice to that person, or what are your thoughts for that leader, Seth?
There are a lot of people who want reassurance, and the problem with reassurance is it's futile. There is never enough reassurance in the world. So I don't traffic in reassurance. It's just not helpful. But I do think being clear with people that this is a slog, that this is not going to be over tomorrow, that this is not an easy in and out sort of situation, is actually a foundation that you can work with your people on. This is a slog, and there's going to be another side. And when we get to the other side, then what's going to happen? Are we ready for that? Are we building a resilient path to get to the other side? Because no, I can't make this go away today or next week. And no, I can't guarantee that everyone's going to be okay. But we can redefine okay as whatever's happening right now is whatever's happening right now. And there's going to be a slog. Let's figure out how to get to the other side.
What do you think are going to be the common qualities, characteristics, traits of the leaders, businesses, organizations, and people that come out on the other side of the slog stronger and serving people even better than they were before, Seth?
Well, I think looking at the folks who are tuning in today who are leaders, the only thing they have in common is that they are leading. They come from all over the world. They look different. They talk different. They have different incomes. The only thing they have in common is that they are leading. What it means to be leading is not that you are sure, not that you are in charge, but that you care enough to paint a picture for the future and invite people to come with you. And I think there's a lot of people who have called themselves leaders who never were. And we're going to have to, as we work our way forward, get much smarter about who cares enough to put themselves into the situation enough that they can make those promises and keep them. And that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice everything today. Generosity is different than free. It just means you have to be careful about taking the time to see other people the way they need to be seen.
Mm. Not everyone was on here at the beginning when we talked a little bit about it. So tell people a little bit about both the Freelancer workshops, but also everything else that you have going on right now that they can connect to if they want to be leveraging this time to be more connected towards creating and contributing and growing in that way, Seth.
Well, thanks for that. So I don't do video courses. I think we had some on Udemy from years ago, but I think video courses are a poor substitute for learning. So we are building workshops where people give and get 500 pieces of feedback a month. And they're called Akimbo workshops, AKIMBO. And the one we're running right now is called the Freelancers Workshop. It's at the freelancersworkshop.com. And you'll be surrounded by hundreds of other people for a month or two, learning what it is to be a different kind of freelancer. And if you go to freelancersworkshop.com, there's a little purple circle. If you click on it, you'll save some money. And the people who are in it are finding that it is changing their lives. And that's why we do it.
Powerful. What's the final word of encouragement and motivation that you would give to everyone that's on this session today? We've got over, I think, 220 folks on here, and that's just right now. So that's awesome.
Right. Well, get back to it. You don't need the two of us to tell you what to do. You know what to do, and we need you to do it. Whether you're in Peru or Nigeria, whether you're in Arkansas, that each one of us now has the means of production and the ability to speak up and lead. And there's always going to be a shortage of that. And this is what we need from you.
Well, Seth, one of the things I'm always appreciative of with regard to you, but probably more so in this season, is that I know we can always count on you to be someone who lives in alignment with your message. And you are someone that always strikes me as prioritizing contribution and generosity and serving people exceptionally well. And that's certainly the case for the last 30 minutes. So thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure. And I guess we're going to record this maybe and post it. So if you missed anything, that'll be great. Keep making a ruckus, everybody. We need you. Thank you. Stay healthy. Stay well. Here's a piece of money.
Thanks, Seth. Oh, man, there is only one Seth Godin. Am I right? Man, he is just so good on so many things. But I think one of the things that I took away from that is, like, anyone can talk about resiliency, right? But then you think about resiliency being tied to contribution and to service and to leveraging your talents and your gifts and your time that we all have right now to make a difference in the lives of others. That adds so much more meaning to this season. And we know that's what business owners and leaders, that's what the people that are going to come out of this trough, out of this valley stronger than how they came into it, are doing right now. They're contributing. I read the line the other day that strength is for service. And I think that was central to everything Seth just taught on, to everything Seth just shared. Y'all, we're so grateful to have all of you on here. We're doing these every day with leaders really around the country and around the world. Tomorrow, we've got our SVP here at Entree Leadership. She's going to be talking about how to communicate effectively with your team during this season, how to make sure you're staying in touch with your organization's culture, and how to make sure you're continuing moving forward and adapting as the marketplace is changing every single day. So we hope to see you on here tomorrow. That's 9 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. We're grateful for you. We're rooting for you. Keep serving, keep moving forward, keep leading, because we're counting on you right now. Thanks so much, y'all.